Decision 2010 with Keith Kate.
Good morning. This week we're focusing on the race for the United States Senate. Florida Republican Senator Mel Martinez stepped down last year, and Governor Charlie Crist elected the Republican George Lemieux to finish out Martinez's term. Well, this November, it's up to you, the voter, to decide who should represent Florida in the Senate, and the governor wants the job. The latest Quinnipiac University poll shows Governor Crist with a slight lead. 37% of responders support the independent. 33% are behind Republican Marco Rubio. It's also a tight race for the Democratic spot on the November ballot. In the latest Quinnipiac University primary poll of likely voters, Kendrick Meek has 29%. And the newcomer, Jeff Greene, has 27%. 3% of those surveyed prefer the former Miami mayor, Maurice Ferre. Well, this week we are taking a closer look at the two Democratic frontrunners. First up, Palm Beach billionaire Jeff Greene. Now, if you watch much television, then you've seen one of his commercials. He is spending millions of dollars to make sure you know his name and you know why he's running. Opponents of the 55-year-old Democrat like to point out how the real estate executive made millions of dollars by betting on the misfortunes of ordinary homeowners, by buying credit default swaps that profited from the subprime implosion. But the upstart politician says he's worked hard for his money, and he knows how to work for you. His biggest promise, creating jobs in Florida. And it's the first thing I asked him about during our recent interview. Mr. Greene, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Keith, thank you for having me.
Let's start right away on the subject of jobs, because you have new campaign ads out there. You're saying you're an outsider, a successful businessman, a proven jobs creator. How are you going to create jobs in this economy?
Well, there are a number of ways to create jobs. Number one, we have to focus on green technology jobs. This spill in the Gulf is a wake-up call that hopefully finally will resonate with people in Washington. And we need to focus on developing biofuels like algae. I don't know if you're aware, but in biofuel like ethanol, which is made from corn, it's a pollutant, number one, once it pollutes the air to make it and to use it. And at best, you get 350 gallons per acre per year. With algae, you can get up to 10,000 gallons per acre per year. The technology may be out there, but we need to spend money on research and development to start to get this thing going. Another green technology area is the wave technology. The Gulf Stream is infinitely more powerful than Niagara Falls, and it could be providing a large percentage of our power here in Florida and in the whole Southeast. But again, we need to get much more money. Right now, the federal government has a budget of $4 billion for research and development for green technology. It's crazy. We're sending $500 billion a year to foreign countries, many of whom are our enemies. Politicians running for office after office and failing. They want new ideas. People from the private sector who understand the economy will finally get jobs created and get results. And I think that's going to be the distinction.
Let me ask you about health care reform. Where do you stand on it?
So I'm glad we got rid of the donut hole. I'm glad we have the 32 million Americans now insured. I'm glad we got rid of the pre-existing condition out that all the insurance companies had. And you know what? The number one thing when I get to Washington as a U.S. Senator is I'm going to take that bill. We're going to pull it apart. We're going to make sure that whatever's wrong will be corrected. Whatever's right we'll continue to do. We'll make absolutely certain that there's enough funding for it so that it in no way affects any fluidity in Social Security or Medicare, because that to me is something I'm going to Washington to protect.
Your mother, is it?
Yes.
Who's living here and has for many years, but there's the criticism that you're kind of the carpetbagger in this race. You've been here for 2 years.
Look, Keith, I have very deep roots in Florida. I moved here with my parents in 1968, 1969. I got my first driver's license here. I bought my first car here. I mean, my dad, unfortunately, he came here after he lost his livelihood in New England, and he struggled. He never really regained his footing, and he actually died at a very young age, at 51 years old, from the struggles he faced here in his business and trying to make ends meet. And it puts me in touch with the struggles that are facing all Floridians today. I have deep roots here. Some of them are happy and some of them are sad. And I think the people of Florida will see that they have a choice here of these career politicians who have failed us and someone like me who's going to get results for them.
Well, you've been here and you registered as a Democrat here, but you weren't always a Democrat. Explain to me if you are a true Democrat or whether you're an independent or the conservative Reaganite candidate that you ran as when you ran once before. What was the year? In '82 you ran as a Reagan conservative. So Who is Jeff Greene, really?
Well, okay, look, in 1982, I was just out of Harvard Business School. You know, you go to Harvard Business School with all these business guys, and there's this conservative ideology of every man for himself. I fell into that trap for a year or so, but I grew up as a Democrat. You know, my whole life, I grew up in Massachusetts, which there's no shortage of Democrats there. My congressman at Harvard was Tip O'Neill, and my senator was Ted Kennedy. And I have to tell you that, you know, that for me, the reason I'm a Democrat is because, you know, I recognized early on in my life, and I mean, I have to tell you, I remember sitting around the table with my aunts and uncles and having them pound the table and scream about civil rights and looking out for the little guy and the underdog. And I was taught early on that in America, not everyone is at the same starting line. And the one thing the government can do is make sure that every young child gets a good education, has health care, so they all start at the same starting line. And if they fall off the track because of God forbid, a terrible accident, or just they can't get a job because the economy isn't providing any like where we are today, the government can step in and kind of give them a boost. I'm not someone who believes in a safety net for these people. I believe in a trampoline. I want to see these people at the lower levels bounce back up. Because you know what? I started with nothing, and I've lived the American dream. And one of the reasons I'm running today is because I have an 8-month-old baby. And I want to make sure that that dream is protected for my 8-month-old baby and every other child and grandchild here in Florida.
Let me ask you about the president and your desire or your thoughts about him coming to the state of Florida to rally behind the Democrats here. Do you think that would be helpful at this point? Do you want him standing beside you?
Well, look, I support the president. I'm an independent Democrat. I stand for most of his policies. I was at the inauguration, delighted to see President Obama elected. I think it was a historic time, and he's a brilliant, great leader, and I'm very excited to have him as our president. A consulting fee, the use of an Escalade, his chief of staff getting $13,000, and what does he do? Ask for $4 million earmark for this guy who's now also under indictment in a criminal trial. I mean, so, you know, look, I'm running against three, as far as I'm concerned, they're all part of this whole culture in politics in Washington of bribery, corruption. So who my friends were 10 years ago or 5 years ago, I don't think that's what people want to hear about. And I think that I think that what people want to hear about is what I'm going to do for the state of Florida. And I think they're going to look and see that a guy like me who's gotten results, it will put the people of Florida first with no special interest money. I'm not going to take a contribution of over $100. Anybody? I'm going to donate my entire salary to charities here in Florida. And I think people will see that I'm here for the real reason. We got some big problems in this state. They have to be solved.
Jeff Greene, it's a pleasure.
Keith, thank you very much.
Thank you.